My name is Natalie Brooks, and I'm 29 years old. The night my boyfriend said, "I don't need your permission for anything," something very quiet inside me stood up, took off her apron, and walked away from the version of me that kept auditioning for basic respect. I was standing at our sink, wrists pruned from hot water, the city humming outside our third-floor windows. The tap was running over a skillet, the smell of garlic and dish soap swirling together, when Liam strolled into the kitchen with that casual bounce in his step he used whenever he was about to drop something on me and pretend it was no big deal. "So," he said, scrolling on his phone, leaning against the counter like a commercial for relaxed boyfriends, "I'm going to Cabo next weekend." I blinked at the pan. The burnt bits were stubborn. They clung even when I scraped. "Oh," I said, still facing the sink. "Cool. With who?" "Just a small group," he answered, like he'd rehearsed it. "Mandy, her boyfriend, and Vanessa." The sponge stopped in my hand. Water kept running, hot and steady. "Vanessa," I repeated, my voice landing flat. "As in your ex-girlfriend, Vanessa?" He didn't even flinch. "Yeah, don't make it weird. It's a group trip." I turned then. Liam was in his usual uniform. Faded t-shirt, easy grin, messy hair that looked artfully undone. He finally looked up from his phone at my face, and the grin slipped just a fraction. "You're going on a beach vacation with your ex," I said slowly, "and you thought you'd mention it while I'm elbow-deep in dishes?" He rolled his eyes. "Oh my God, Nat, it's not a big deal. We're all friends now, you know that." I thought about the way he still liked every single one of her Instagram posts, even the thirst traps from months ago. I thought about the way his voice changed when her name flashed on his screen, just half a pitch higher, a little more alive. "I'm not making it weird," I said, feeling the heat from the tap finally reach my face. "I'm telling you, I'm uncomfortable with my boyfriend going on a beach trip with his ex-girlfriend." "You're so insecure," he shot back, like he'd been waiting to use that word. "Vanessa and I are just friends. We dated years ago. Ancient history." "If it's so harmless," I asked, "why wasn't I invited?" He snorted, incredulous laughter punching the air. "Because you hate beach trips, Natalie. You literally complained the entire time in Miami, remember? The sun poisoning, the sand, the crowds. I'm sparing you." He wasn't wrong about Miami. I had spent 2 days nauseous and lobster red, wearing hotel towels like armor. But that wasn't the point, and we both knew it. "Liam," I said quietly, "this isn't about sand. This is about respect. Can you please not go?" That was the match. He dropped his phone on the counter with a clatter, shoulders squaring, hands flying to his hips like he was stepping into a role, his eyes hardened, glittering. "I don't need your permission for anything," he snapped. "I'm a grown man. If I want to go on a trip with my friends, I'll go." The word permission hung between us, thick and sticky, like I'd slapped a curfew on him instead of drawing a boundary around my own self-respect. "You're not asking him to stay home forever," I thought. "You're asking not to be disrespected in high definition on a Mexican beach." "You're right," I said, my voice coming out softer than I felt. His chest puffed, victory flashing across his face. "Exactly. Thank you. Finally." "Good," I continued, drying my hands on the dish towel, every movement suddenly precise. "Because you don't have it anymore." His expression shifted so fast it was almost funny, triumphant to confused to angry, like watching the weather change in a time lapse. "What?" he demanded. "You heard me." I folded the towel, laid it neatly by the sink like I was closing out a shift. "You want to act single? Be single. Go on your trip." "Natalie, don't be dramatic." He laughed once, a harsh bark. "It's just a vacation. With my ex, who I dated for 4 years, who I only broke up with because she moved away," I supplied, because I'd heard this story enough times to tell it myself. "She moved back 6 months ago. You've been texting ever since." He went quiet. Guilt had a sound. It was the absence of excuses. "I'm done," I said. My hands had stopped shaking. "Go to Cabo. Have fun." "You're going to break up with me over a trip?" he scoffed. "Seriously?" "No." I met his eyes. "I'm breaking up with you because you think my boundaries are optional, and you'd rather scream about permission than have an adult conversation." "You're bluffing." He shook his head, incredulous. "You always cave. You cry, we fight, you forgive me. That's our thing." "Watch me not," I said. I walked past him, past his confusion and outrage, down the hall toward our bedroom. Technically my bedroom, because the apartment was in my name. My name on the lease, my credit score, my careful spreadsheets. All the boring grown-up things he liked to call Natalie's control issues. Behind me, his footsteps followed. "What are you doing?" he demanded, as I pulled open his dresser drawer and started sorting his clothes into piles. Helping you pack, I said, not for Cabo, for moving out. You can't kick me out. He stepped in front of the dresser, trying to block me with his body. I live here. You stay here, I corrected. You don't pay rent on time half the time. Your name's not on the lease. I have rights, he insisted, voice pitching higher. You have 30 days' notice, I replied calmly. But since you'll be in Cabo this weekend, might as well start early. His face shifted again, anger cooling into calculation. He softened his voice, reached out, fingertips brushing my arm. Baby, come on, let's talk about this. You're spiraling. Maybe you could come to Cabo too. I looked at his hand on my skin like it belonged to a stranger. Now I'm invited, I said. How convenient. I'll tell Vanessa you're coming, he rushed on. She'll understand. We'll get a bigger room or something. It'll be fun. You need a vacation. No thanks, I said. I don't want to crash your reunion tour. It's not like that, he snapped, mask slipping. God, you always go to the worst place. Then explain it to me, I said. Explain why you have to go on this trip with your ex-girlfriend. Why it has to be her, in Cabo, for a whole weekend. He pulled his hand back like I'd burned him. I don't have to explain anything to you. You're not my keeper. You're right, I said. I'm not. Not anymore. The next few hours were a carousel of moods. He cycled through all his favorite tactics, pulling them out like costumes. Righteous anger, you're overreacting. Victimhood, this is emotional abuse. Negotiation, fine, I won't go, is that what you want? And flattery weaponized as a leash. I chose you, doesn't that matter? That last one is my favorite, I said at one point, folding one of his t-shirts with ridiculous care. If she means nothing, why is this trip worth our relationship? He didn't have a good answer for that. He never had good answers, just louder ones. Around midnight, when it was clear I was not going to magically forget my own boundaries, he grabbed an overnight bag and stuffed clothes into it with jerky, angry movements. I'm going to Mandy's, he announced, slinging the strap over his shoulder. When you come to your senses, text me. Don't hold your breath, I said. You'll regret this, Natalie, he shot back, hand on the doorknob. No one else will put up with your jealousy issues. My jealousy issues, I repeated. You're literally choosing a vacation with your ex over your relationship. He slammed the door so hard the frames rattled. The apartment went still after he left, the kind of still you notice in your bones. I walked back to the kitchen on autopilot, turned off the tap, and washed the last fork in silence. 3 years, I thought, drying my hands. 3 years of swallowing discomfort and calling it compromise. 3 years of being told I was too sensitive when my gut screamed that something was off. 3 years of hoping love would make him grow up. My phone buzzed on the counter. Liam, I hope you're happy. You just threw away the best thing in your life. I stared at the message until the screen dimmed, then went dark. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my notes app and started a list. It looked boring, practical, utterly unromantic. Call landlord about lease and notice. Check tenant rights. Legal timeline. Get quotes from movers. Find short-term storage unit. Change door code. Update door camera settings. Document everything. Photos, texts, dates. On social media, people posted elaborate revenge fantasies. Sugar and gas tanks. Shattered windows. Dramatic confrontations in crowded restaurants. I didn't want any of that. I didn't want the performance. I wanted distance, and I wanted it clean. If he wanted to go to Cabo like a single man, then he could come home like one too. I scrolled to his flight confirmation email. I'd seen it earlier when he'd shoved his phone in my face to show me the hotel views. Departure, Thursday afternoon. 5 days. 5 days to handle business. 5 days to stop being the girl begging for respect and become the woman who acted like she deserved it. I pulled up my landlord's number, my thumb hovering for just a second before I tapped call. Time to make some calls, I thought as the line started to ring. Time to turn that snapped chalk line in my chest into something solid. Thursday came faster than I expected. In the days between the fight and his flight, Liam acted like we were in a silent movie. Lots of slamming cabinets and heavy sighs, not a lot of actual words. He packed for Cabo in pointed snippets, tossing shirts into his suitcase while making sure I could hear his playlists about freedom and living your best life. I spent those days on the phone. Greg, my landlord, was surprisingly human for a man who mostly communicated via rent reminders and maintenance PDFs. So, just to confirm, I said, pacing our living room with my laptop open on the coffee table, the lease is in my name only. Yep, Greg replied. I could picture him in his little office, coffee mug that said, World's Okayest Landlord. We ran credit only on you, remember? Your boyfriend didn't qualify at the time, if I recall. I remembered. Liam had framed it as, "You're better with paperwork than me, babe." And if I want him to move out, I asked, legally? You serve him 30 days written notice, Greg said. As long as you're not tossing his stuff on the curb, you're fine. If he leaves for a trip after you give notice. He paused. Well, he's not exactly making his case stronger. So I can change the locks, I pressed. Once you've documented notice and he's left the apartment unattended after that, I'll have maintenance rekey, Greg said. I'll note it on your file. Just send me a copy of the notice. CYA for both of us. I thanked him, hung up, and typed up the notice that night. Dry, professional, and utterly unemotional. I printed it, signed my name, and left one copy in a folder by the door where we kept takeout menus and spare keys. The other I scanned and emailed to Greg. The same folder where another envelope would be waiting for Liam when he came home. By Wednesday, I had a TaskRabbit booking confirmed, a storage unit reserved for 1 month, and a folder on my laptop titled Liam Documentation, with subfolders: photos, texts, lease, receipts. It looked like evidence. It was. Thursday afternoon, I watched his flight status on my phone while pretending not to watch him zip his suitcase. He paused at the door, turning back as if we were in some tearful airport movie. I was leaning against the kitchen counter, arms folded. You really not going to say anything? He asked. I already did, I said. He smirked, that condescending lift of one corner of his mouth. You'll cool off while I'm gone, Nat. We always do. Try not to overthink it. I'm not overthinking, I replied. I'm just done underreacting. He rolled his eyes, grabbed his duffel, and left. I waited until the little plane icon on the app showed him in the air. Wheels up, no turning back, before I opened my front door to 3 guys in matching TaskRabbit shirts. Everything that isn't mine, I told them, voice steady. Closet, bathroom, desk, kitchen gadgets he brought, books, electronics he bought. If you're not sure, ask me, and I want photos of every room before and after. They exchanged a look. One of them, a tall guy with kind eyes, nodded. Breakup project? Breakup boundary, I said. I'm not destroying anything, just relocating. We moved through the apartment like a team on a mission. Before they touched anything, I took my own photos. His shoes lined up by the door, his hoodies draped over the back of the couch, his shaving kit exploding across the bathroom counter, his creative corner in the second bedroom where he claimed he'd start a podcast someday. Piece by piece, they packed his life into boxes. Clothes, shoes, cologne bottles, the video game consoles he'd sworn were for us, but never let me touch mid-campaign. His coffee mug that said boss energy, even though he was constantly late to work. I labeled each box with a black Sharpie. Liam, clothes. Liam, bathroom. Liam, tech. Liam, Mia C. Make sure there's nothing of yours in any of these, the tall mover said. There isn't, I answered. I know what I bought. By late afternoon, the apartment looked lighter. There were blank spaces where his presence used to be, an empty slice of closet, bare spots on shelves, the absence of his shaving cream ring around the sink. We loaded everything into a rented van, and I followed it to the storage facility across town. Fluorescent lights, concrete corridors, metal doors. The manager slid paperwork across the counter. 1 month paid in full, I said, handing over my card. After that, if he doesn't extend, follow your normal abandonment procedures. She raised an eyebrow. You sure? Yes, I said. I'm done chasing people to pick up what they chose to leave. We locked his boxes in Unit 247. I held the tiny key in my palm for a second, then slipped it into a small envelope along with the unit address, access code, and a copy of his 30-day notice. Back at the apartment, I cleaned like I was erasing a chalkboard. I scrubbed counters, vacuumed every room, changed the sheets, washed the duvet cover. I opened windows to let in fresh air and watched sunlight fall onto spaces that had been cluttered with his things. I rearranged the furniture, not dramatically, just enough that the place felt new. My couch angled toward the window instead of the TV. My favorite reading chair moved next to a lamp he always complained was too bright. My frame prints spaced out without competing with his posters. By Thursday night, my home looked like a different place. My place. On Friday, the Cabo content started. Mandy was the first to post. Group selfies at the airport, boarding passes, plastic cups of orange juice, and champagne. Liam grinning in the background, Vanessa in the frame beside him, sunglasses pushed up on her head, hand on his arm like muscle memory. Then came the beach photos. Sand, sun, ocean. Liam and Vanessa sitting too close on a towel. Group dinner pictures. Liam and Vanessa always side by side. Sunset toasts. Boomerang videos of clinking glasses. One shot knocked the air out of me more than the rest. A late-night hot tub photo. Mandy tagged everyone. In the foreground, Mandy and her boyfriend. In the background, slightly out of focus but unmistakable, Liam and Vanessa, her in a bikini, his arm draped around her shoulders like they'd never broken up. The comments from our mutual friends rolled in. "Where's Natalie? Isn't that your ex, dude? Bold move." He replied to none of them. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus, my closest friend from college, the one who had bitten his tongue about Liam for 2 years straight. Marcus, you seeing this BS? Me. Yep. Marcus, what's the plan? Me. Already done. He'll find out Sunday. Marcus, let me know if you need help moving a body. Me. Just a few boxes. Body's his problem. Saturday morning, I called Greg again. He's definitely gone for the weekend, I said. Flight out, hotel tagged, the works. You got the notice and documentation? He asked. I emailed you everything, I replied. He left after I served notice. All his belongings are safely stored and accessible. I have photos of the apartment before and after, and receipts for the storage unit. Then I'll send maintenance to Riki, Greg said. I'll note that you provided proper notice and secured his property. By noon, I had new locks. By 1, I'd updated my door camera system settings and changed the front door code. I added an extra layer. If anyone tried to enter more than 3 times with the wrong code, I'd get an alert. Saturday night, Mandy's post took a turn. There was a story she deleted after an hour, but not before I screenshotted it. A hazy club video. Neon lights, bass thudding through the shaky camera. Vanessa grinding on Liam, his hands on her hips. At the end, they were full-on making out while someone whooped off camera. Another notification. Mandy. Mandy. Hey, Nat, I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was going to be like this. Me. Like what? Mandy. She told me you were cool with the trip. Said you trusted Liam and it was just friends. Me. She told you wrong. Mandy. They're sharing a room now. I'm really uncomfortable. This feels gross. Me. It's not your fault, but thanks for telling me. I added the screenshot of the makeout story and my conversation with Mandy to my Liam documentation folder. So much for just friends. On Sunday evening, Marcus and I sat in his living room with pizza boxes between us, the game on mute, and my door camera feed open on my phone. This is petty, I said. This is accountability, Marcus corrected. You did everything by the book. You're allowed to watch the show. At 7:23 p.m., the feed lit up. Liam, sunburned and wearing the same airport outfit from Thursday, trudged down our hallway, rolling his suitcase behind him. He looked tired in the way that came from cheap liquor and forced fun, not soul-searching. He tried his key. The lock didn't budge. He frowned, tried again, jiggled, looked up at the camera, confusion creasing his forehead. Then he punched in the old door code on the keypad. Nothing. He stepped back, checked his phone, tried the code again, slower, like the door had forgotten him. On my screen, a notification popped up. Failed entry, 3 times. My phone started ringing. His name flashed across the screen. Marcus raised his brows. Showtime. I let it ring out. He tried again, and again. On the feed, I watched him mutter to himself, then scroll furiously on his phone. He stuffed his key into the lock and yanked like brute force would suddenly make the mechanism remember his feelings. A text came through. Liam. My key isn't working. Me. That's not your key anymore. There was a pause, both on my phone screen and on the camera. He read the message, jaw clenching, nostrils flaring. Liam. What the hell does that mean? Open the door, Natalie. Me. Check the planner by the door. On the feed, he hesitated, then crouched to open the little wall-mounted organizer we used for mail and pens. His fingers brushed the white envelope I'd left there, his name written on the front in my neat handwriting. He opened it. I watched him scan the contents. The storage unit key taped inside, the printed information for Unit 247, the access code, the copy of his 30-day notice. And the note, written on a simple index card, You don't need my permission for anything. That includes living here. Your belongings are safely stored in Unit 247. You have 30 days to make arrangements. Natalie. For a moment, he didn't move. His eyes went back over the words slowly, like maybe they'd rearrange into something else if he stared long enough. Then his face went through all 5 stages of grief in about 30 seconds. Denial. No, this wasn't happening. Anger. Mouth moving in curse words I couldn't hear. Bargaining. Phone in his hand again. Calling me. I didn't answer. He called again. And again. Then the text started. This isn't funny. Open the door. I'm serious, Nat. Let me in now. You can't just lock me out. I live here. This is illegal. I'm calling the police. It's not what you think. Vanessa means nothing. You're my girlfriend. I'm going to sue you for everything. Where is my stuff? The storage unit is locked. Give me the code. I have nowhere to go. You're a psychopath. Baby, please, let's talk. I made a mistake, okay? Answer your phone. You'll regret this. Marcus whistled low. He's really speed-running the script. On the camera, I watched him pace the hallway, then pull out his phone again, dialing with jerky movements. He's really going to call the cops, I said, feeling my stomach tighten, not with fear, but with the adrenaline of someone who knew exactly what was about to happen. You got your folder? Marcus asked. I tapped the leather portfolio on my lap. Lease, printed notice, storage receipts, screenshots. Oh, I'm ready, I said. On my phone, a new notification flashed from an unknown local number. This time I answered. Ms. Brooks? A calm male voice asked on the other end. This is Officer Ramirez with the city police. We received a report of an unlawful eviction at your address. I almost smiled. Right on schedule. Yes, officer, I said evenly. I'm aware of the report. I'm actually home right now, if you'd like to come by. 10 minutes later, the knock came. 3 sharp raps against the door I'd just had re-keyed that morning. I opened it to find 2 uniformed officers standing beside Liam, who looked both furious and desperate. His sunburn had deepened overnight, his skin was peeling in angry red patches, and his suitcase was still parked beside him like a lost pet. The taller officer, Ramirez, nodded politely. Ma'am, this gentleman says he was unlawfully locked out of his residence. Not true, I said, calm as a spreadsheet. Would you like to see documentation? I handed him my neat folder, lease, 30-day written notice with date and signature. Photographs of the packed boxes, the paid storage receipt, even screenshots of Liam's own messages confirming he'd left for a vacation after receiving notice. Ramirez flipped through the papers, eyebrows raising slightly at the level of organization. So the lease is in your name only? Yes, sir. Did you provide written notice for him to vacate? 30 days in advance, I said. He chose to leave for Cabo 2 days later. His belongings are safely stored, paid for, and he has the key and access code in that envelope he's holding. Liam's jaw worked like he was chewing on a bad word. She can't do this. We lived together for years. That's basically common law. Ramirez glanced at him. Are you on the lease, sir? No, but... Did you contribute to rent? Sometimes. The officer looked back at me, then at my paperwork again. Everything here checks out. This is a civil matter, not criminal. You'll need to pursue it through small claims court if you think you have grounds. Liam's voice cracked. You're just going to let her kick me out? She didn't kick you out, sir, Ramirez said patiently. She gave you notice and stored your belongings. You can't just move back into a place that's not yours. The second officer shifted slightly, trying not to smirk. Ramirez closed the folder and handed it back to me. Ma'am, you're within your rights. Just keep these records in case this becomes a legal dispute. Already have digital backups, I said. Liam glared at me like I'd just taken away the last lifeboat on the Titanic. This is cold, Natalie. You're heartless. No, I said quietly. I'm consistent. They left a few minutes later, officers first, Liam trailing behind, dragging his suitcase like a sulking child. Through the peephole, I watched him stand in the hallway for a long moment before stomping off toward the stairwell. The silence that followed was absolute. I sat on the couch, exhaling for the first time all week. My hands were steady, my chest light. The city outside hummed like it always did, unaware that in one small apartment, the last thread of something toxic had just been cut. I thought that might be the end of it. I was wrong. Monday morning, I stepped out of the shower to find 3 missed calls and a text from an unknown number. Unknown, your car is gone. Unknown. I just saw someone towing it. I froze, towel halfway through my hair, before remembering something. Liam had a spare key. He'd borrowed my car dozens of times. I opened my tracking app because, yes, I had LoJack. The little blue dot blinked from across town. Vine Apartments, Unit 2C. Vanessa's Complex. My stomach twisted, half in disbelief, half in grim amusement. I called the police non-emergency line, gave them the registration, the plate, the fact that it was in my name only. By noon, an officer confirmed they'd located the vehicle. She said she was just borrowing it, he told me over the phone, sounding tired. But you've got proof of ownership. We're marking it returned to owner. I picked it up from the impound lot, sat in the driver's seat, and took a long breath. It still smelled like his cologne, a sweet synthetic musk that clung to the upholstery. I cracked the windows and let the cold air in. By the time I got home, another text was waiting for me. Liam, wow, you called the cops on me again. You really are vindictive. I didn't reply. I just added the message to my folder. That night, my Netflix account signed out mid-episode, then Hulu, then Spotify. I sighed, opened the account settings, and saw the problem. Multiple active devices, including Vanessa's smart TV. I changed every password, added two-step verification, and poured myself a glass of wine. 20 minutes later, a text came, not from him, but from his mother, Mrs. Hale. Natalie, sweetheart, Liam says he can't access Netflix. Could you please fix that? He's been through a lot. I stared at the screen, then typed carefully. Me. Hi, Mrs. Hale. Liam and I are no longer together. He'll need his own account now. Mrs. Hale. But he's having such a hard time. Me. The hard time he created by going to Cabo with his ex? That one? Mrs. Hale. I see. Silence after that. Day 10. His things still sat untouched in the storage unit. I knew because I called to check. He hasn't come by, the attendant told me. Rent's paid for the month, though. You prepaid. Please note that I won't be renewing, I said. Follow normal abandonment protocol if he doesn't claim it. 2 days later, an envelope arrived from a law office with Liam's name in the return address. Inside, a cease and desist styled letter claiming emotional distress and illegal eviction, demanding that I return his property to the shared residence and compensate him for loss of comfort and companionship. I almost laughed. Instead, I scanned it into my folder and sent everything to my own lawyer, Elena, a friend from college who now specialized in property law. Her reply came an hour later. Elena, his claim's a joke. Respond with proof of lease, notice, police report, and storage receipt. He's got no legal standing. Also, you're a legend. I sent the response the next morning, copied her on every attachment, and CC'd Greg for good measure. 2 days later, she forwarded me a terse email from Liam's lawyer, client withdrawing complaint. That was when I thought he might finally give up. But he didn't. When someone's entire sense of control slips away, they'll grab at anything. Reputation, pity, noise. So he went online. The first post appeared that weekend. A long, self-pitying Facebook essay titled, Escaping Control. It started with, when someone tries to own you instead of love you, and spiraled from there. Half therapy speak, half fiction. He painted himself as the victim of an abusive girlfriend who isolated him from friends, monitored his movements, and weaponized legal loopholes. The comments section, however, did not go the way he expected. Mandy, didn't you go to Cabo with your ex? Marcus, Natalie isolated you? Bro, you literally went out 4 nights a week. Sophie, wait, didn't she pay for your coding boot camp? Random Mutual, this you? Attached screenshot of the hot tub photo. Within hours, he deleted the post. But screenshots live forever. By Tuesday, he'd shifted tactics again, from pity to punishment. He called my workplace. He told the receptionist it was a family emergency. I got pulled out of a client meeting, escorted to a conference room where my HR manager sat waiting, looking worried. Natalie, we just got a call from someone named Liam, she said gently. He said there's been an accident. My stomach sank, not because I believed him, but because I knew the script. May I call him back here on speaker? I asked. She nodded. Liam answered on the first ring, voice soft, trembling like a bad actor in a community theater tragedy. Nat? Oh my God. Thank God. You finally picked up. What's the emergency? I asked. I need to talk to you, he said. You won't answer my calls. That's not an emergency, I said evenly. That's harassment. You're contacting me at work. Don't do it again. Nat, please, I'm going to be homeless. You've had 2 weeks to find a place, I reminded him. You could have started by not taking a vacation with your ex. There was a long silence, the sound of his breathing heavy through the line. Vince and I broke up, he blurted finally. My HR manager blinked. Vince? She mouthed. I covered the mic. His ex's new boyfriend, I whispered, then turned back to the call. Not my problem, Liam. I hung up. HR wrote up a report and reminded me to document everything I already had. Later that night, Marcus texted me. He's telling people you cheated on him. I actually laughed. With who? I said aloud to my empty apartment. Marcus, apparently with your boss. Also that you stole his inheritance. Me. What inheritance? His mom sells essential oils. Marcus, exactly. Within hours, our mutual friend group had pieced together the contradictions. He'd told one person I was abusive, another that I kicked him out without warning, another that I drained his savings. The group chat lit up like fireworks. Ashley. Wait, he told me she went to Cabo with his ex, Maria. Didn't she tell him not to go? David. Stole his inheritance? He's an only child and broke. Sophie. Guys, I think he's having a meltdown. He was, and I thought I'd seen the peak of his desperation until Mandy reached out. Her message came on a Wednesday night, just as I was shutting down my laptop. Mandy. Hey, Nat, I think you should know something. Me. What's up? Mandy. Liam planned the Cabo trip to make you jealous. Me. What? Mandy. He said, she'll beg me not to go, and when she sees me with Vanessa, she'll realize what she lost. Me. Wow. Mandy. He even told Vanessa he was going to win you back by proving you still cared. Me. Thanks for telling me, Mandy. I'm sorry you got dragged into this. Mandy. I'm done with him. He used my vacation as a manipulation stunt. I read the thread twice, then quietly saved it to my folder. Proof, motive, closure. The kind of closure that didn't need a conversation. Because some people don't deserve last words. They just deserve consequences. And Liam was about to meet his, one overdue storage bill at a time. 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed with a call from the storage facility. Hi, Ms. Brooks. Just letting you know. Unit 247's rental period ends tomorrow. It hasn't been renewed. Has he come to pick anything up? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Not once, the attendant said. We sent 2 reminders. No response. Then follow your abandonment procedure, I said. If he doesn't pay, you're authorized to auction the contents. She paused, maybe hearing the steadiness in my voice that comes only after months of chaos. Understood. I hung up and sat back on the couch, watching sunlight crawl across the hardwood floor. It had been almost 40 days since the night of the fight, since the sound of that slammed door. My plants were thriving. The apartment was spotless. My life, quiet. Then, as if on cue, my phone buzzed again. A private number. I almost didn't answer, but something, morbid curiosity maybe, made me swipe. Natalie? Liam's voice. Raw, uneven, the kind of tone people use when they've burned every bridge and are standing in the smoke. What do you want, Liam? He swallowed hard. I wanted to tell you they sold my stuff. I know, I said softly. It was everything, he went on, voice cracking. My clothes, my guitar, the photos from college. They auctioned all of it. You just let them... I paid for 60 days of storage, I cut in. You chose not to pick it up. I didn't have a truck, Natalie, or money. You had time, I said. You had friends. You had choices. You just didn't use them. He went silent for a long moment. I could hear cars passing wherever he was, city noise echoing off concrete. Finally, he said, You really don't care at all, do you? I cared more than was healthy, I said quietly, and that's what I'm fixing. Click. I ended the call before he could respond. That weekend, I found out he did respond, just not to me. A screenshot landed in my inbox from Marcus, a Facebook post titled, My Toxic Ex Sold Everything I Owned. The caption, She threw away everything my grandma ever gave me. She's evil. Beware of controlling women who hide behind boundaries. The comments section was merciless. User 1. Didn't you have 2 months to get your stuff? User 2. Weren't you in Cabo with your ex while she was packing your things? User 3. Bro, you literally admitted to cheating. Even one of his cousins chimed in. Cousin, this is what happens when you choose ego over empathy. He deleted the post within hours. Then came the next twist, the kind that felt scripted by the universe. A photo popped up on my feed, courtesy of an old coworker, Vanessa, glowing in a sundress, standing at a resort poolside with her arm around a tall man. The caption read, Making better memories with better company, #Cabo rematch. The man was Paul, a guy Vanessa worked with, someone Liam had always mocked for being boring. I stared at the photo for a long time, then sent it to Marcus with one line. Karma works fast. 2 hours later, I got another message, this time from Vanessa herself. Vanessa, for what it's worth, I'm sorry. He told me you two were on a break. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Some apologies are just people trying to clean their own conscience. But the real shock came a few days later when Liam's parents showed up at my building. Security called first. "There's a Mr. and Mrs. Hale asking for you," the guard said, uncertain. "They say it's about your ex." I told them to send them up. When the elevator doors opened, Mrs. Hale looked 10 years older than I remembered. Mr. Hale carried a manila envelope and wouldn't quite meet my eyes. "Natalie," Mrs. Hale began, voice trembling, "we owe you an apology." I gestured toward the couch. "You don't owe me anything." "Yes, we do," she said. "Liam told us you were abusive, controlling, that you threw him out on the street with nothing. We believed him." Her eyes welled. "We even gave him money to replace his things." Mr. Hale nodded grimly. "Then we found out about the storage unit. 2 months. 2 months, and he just let it go." Mrs. Hale's tears finally spilled. "He spent the money on Botox and a trip to Vegas with some new girl. He lied to us, to everyone. We're done enabling him." I didn't know what to say. I just sat there, hands folded in my lap, while they apologized for raising a man who couldn't take responsibility. When they left, Mrs. Hale turned at the door. "You did the right thing, Natalie," she said. "We see that now." I watched them walk down the hall and felt lighter. Not triumphant, just done. A week later, another unknown number. This time, I didn't even hesitate. "What now, Liam?" A pause, then a shaky breath. "I'm sorry, okay? I messed up. Please don't hang up." "What do you need?" I asked, already tired. I'm in trouble," he said. "I don't have anywhere to go. I thought maybe we could—" "You thought wrong." He inhaled sharply, then blurted out the one word he probably thought would crack me. "I'm sick, Natalie. The stress. My doctor says I hope you get help," I interrupted. "Real help. From professionals, not ex-girlfriends." "You're cold," he said bitterly. "You used to care." "I did," I said. "That's why I'm not answering your calls anymore." And I ended it there. 3 weeks later, Marcus texted me a link. "Marcus, you're gonna love this." It was an engagement announcement. Liam and his new girlfriend, someone I didn't recognize, smiling in a selfie, captioned, "When you finally find someone who trusts you." He'd met her 3 weeks earlier. The comments were a mix of congrats and thinly veiled disbelief. I didn't comment, I just blocked the account. Because some people don't change, they just find new audiences. Now, months later, I can breathe again. I got a promotion at work. Marcus and I still joke about writing a handbook, The Art of Peaceful Revenge. My weekends are quiet. I bought a new car, one that only I have the key to. Sometimes I think about Cabo, about how one trip, one fight split my life cleanly in two, before self-respect and after. I used to believe closure meant getting answers. It doesn't. It means being okay with never hearing them. Liam taught me that boundaries aren't walls. They're doors you lock when someone keeps barging in uninvited. He once told me I was too controlling. He was right in a way, because now finally I control what and who gets to stay in my life. And that, I've realized, is the only permission that ever mattered.